Hello everybody. Today we're going to take a look at a new solution for importing your DnDBeyond characters, items, spells, and monsters into Foundry that comes to us from the developer Mr. Primate. Mr. Primate was a huge contributor to the codebase for character parsing in VTTA DnDBeyond importer and has now developed his own solution that has a number of improvements, including automated spell and item import, along with a monster import that doesn't involve installing an extension or connecting it to Foundry. The only con being that it doesn't, and he has no plans to, handle importing entire adventures. If you're wondering why we're taking a look at a new importer, be sure to check the description for a link to a YouTube community post I made about the issue. I will also try and post updates there or in a pinned comment as they happen. For now, VTTA's adventure import still mostly works, so if you can get it running, that may still be an option for you. But let's not focus on all of that and get right into the good stuff, importing our characters. Well, first we have to install the module, but then right to importing our characters. All we've got to do is go to our Add-on Modules tab, hit Install Module, and search for the DnDBeyond importer. Make sure you're selecting the one that has Mr. Primate as the listed developer. While we're here, we're also going to install the Iconizer module, which looks at the items we're importing and tries to automatically find the appropriate icon so your character sheet isn't filled with mystery man icons. Iconizer is still technically under the VTTA umbrella, but you'll notice that you're, at least at the time of this recording, not able to install it from the module manager. Go read my YouTube community post to find out why. There's a fix to this as well that comes to us from, you guessed it, Mr. Primate. He's forked it and provided an installable manifest URL that I'll put in the description as well, and has sought to take over the package and the module manager, but as of this recording, it hasn't happened yet. I'll leave a note in a pinned comment if that happens to change. There's some other cool modules that work well with the new importer, but we're going to take a look at those later. Let's start simple by launching our world and activating the importer, clicking yes to activate its dependencies, and activating Iconizer as well. Then we can jump into the module settings and get everything configured. We'll start with the essential DnDBeyond importer settings. First, we're going to set an image upload directory for imported images. I'll create a new directory to store them, but you can keep them wherever you'd like. Just be sure you do set something here, as otherwise you may get an error when we try to import our characters. Then we're going to set which compendium we want everything to import into. If you have a custom module that lets you share compendia between your worlds, you can change this dropdown to select the relevant compendium. If you don't have that, you're free to use the compendia that the module made for you automatically. With those settings configured, that's all you need for basic character imports where your spells and items will come in as well. We'll take a look at the rest of the settings in a moment. For now, let's take a quick look at Iconizer settings. I leave almost all of these settings at their defaults, but let's go over what they do quickly. The first setting is the icon replacement policy, which you can set to replace all icons, replace only default icons, so anything using the mystery man icon, or do not replace any icons. This is the only setting I change, and I set it to replace only default icons because I only want items without icons to be changed. Then we have the icon database policy, which tells Iconizer where it should look to find what items should get what icons. You can use the predefined database Iconizer comes with, or you can use it in a custom database or just a custom database that you've made. You can also change the base dictionary, which lets you change the type of icons you're using. The default is Foundry icons, but you can also use World of Warcraft icons either locally or through wowhead.com. We'll leave this as Foundry icons as well. The icon prefix setting is only important if you're using another base dictionary than the default Foundry one, and is used to identify where you have your custom icons if you're storing them locally. We can ignore that though. Now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. We're going to import our first character. All we have to do is go to our actors directory, hit create actor, or open an actor that we already have that we want to become our character. It doesn't matter what it's named, as all of that will be overwritten in a moment. With the character sheet opened, you'll see a B with yellow text underneath it. If you still have the VTTA importer installed, you'll also see a B with red text. We want the yellow one, so I'll click that. Then we can enter the URL to our character sheet on DnDBeyond in the URL field. You'll want to make sure your character is public by clicking the gear icon here, going to Preferences, and then scrolling down to the Character Privacy dropdown and setting it to public if it's not already. We can see it has detected our character, and then if we hit Start Import, it will pull in all of our character's attributes, inventory, features, prepared spells, and biography. Let's open that window back up real quick and go over what our options are though. The Update Selection options here control what parts of our character sheet will be updated when we hit Start Import, and you can include or exclude any of them. The Update Configuration settings are a little more interesting. First, we have Use Icons from the SRD Compendium. This will try to find the same item in the SRD Compendia and use that icon. It makes the import take a bit longer, but will get you more icons in the end. Then we have Use Spell School Icons from DnDBeyond, which means if there's no icon, then the spell will use the icon for that magic school, like this one from DnDBeyond. Next is Use Equipment Icons from DnDBeyond, which will use icons from DnDBeyond if there's not already an icon available. And lastly, we have Use DnDBeyond Generic Item Images if available, which, like the spell setting, will use the icon for that category of item if there is one, if there's no other icon, like on the Clockwork Amulet here. We also have some advanced configuration settings that are pretty fully explained in their text. There's two that I do want to mention though, and that's the last two options here that concern active effects and dynamic active effects. If you're a big user of dynamic active effects and the dynamic active effects SRD module, you'll want to check these last two boxes to ensure that your items aren't replaced with ones that don't have active effects information, and that any additional active effects you've put on items or your character aren't overwritten. Mr. Primate does hope to begin including active effects information on import, but that's not currently available. I'll mention it in a pinned comment down below if it does become available. The eagle-eyed amongst you might have also noticed this little notes section here that mentions if you want to get the full spell list for clerics, druids, and paladins to set the Cobalt cookie. This is where the importer gets really interesting. So what is this Cobalt cookie? When you log into DnDBeyond, it creates a cookie and stores it on your machine so that it can verify who you are and what you own as you navigate around the site. That's what the Cobalt cookie is, and because it's used to verify who you are, you should never give anyone your cookie or share a screenshot where it is visible because it would enable them to use your account. Like the snacks I hide under my floorboard, this cookie should be secret. With all of the appropriate warnings out of the way, let's take a look at how we can get our cookie. First off, you'll need to head to the DnDBeyond.com and ensure that you're logged in. Then, if you're using Chrome, Edge, or Firefox, right-click anywhere on the page and click Inspect Element. If the window appears to the side like this, click on the three-dot menu and change to the option with the filled bar at the bottom. Then click the Application tab if you're on Chrome or Edge, and the Storage tab if you're on Firefox. Once you've done that, find the Cookies section and open it up and select the DnDBeyond.com item. Then in the filter search, type in Cobalt. From there, just double-click on the value and copy it with Ctrl-C, or Command if you're on a Mac, and close the developer console. Now we'll just head back to Foundry, click on Configure Settings, then Module Settings, and paste it in the DDB Cobalt cookie field. Hit Save Changes, and we're good to go. Let's head back to the character importer and see what happens when we try to import now. As you can see, I have all of the spells that Hobbs has access to, whether I've prepared them or not. The correct spells are still marked as prepared, however. This will make playing as any spellcaster who prepares spells much easier. If you're ever importing and getting an API error, run through this process again, as DnDBeyond has most likely updated your cookie and you'll need to update it in the settings as well. If you want a more automated way of doing this, I'll have a link in the description to a Chrome extension that Mr. Primate developed that should copy it for you automatically, but it does involve putting your Chrome setup in a developer mode and adding the extension manually. It's also not available for Firefox or Edge users. With that done, let's go to the Compendium tab and check out the DDB Spells Compendium. It's empty, so is the DDB Features Compendium, but our character definitely has spells and class features, so what gives? With Mr. Primate's importer, the compendia aren't filled when you import a character. Instead, we have the DDB Muncher tool to populate our compendia. Let's click on the button down here, Now. We've got a handful of useful options here, and let's break them down. Update existing things is pretty obvious. It will update spells, items, and monsters that have already been munched. Use SRD compendium things instead of importing. We'll grab items, spells, or monsters from the SRD instead of DnDBeyond. Use icons from the SRD compendiums and use Iconizer both do exactly what it says on the tin, and the last two options determine how the importer will handle images from DnDBeyond. If you check the first one, it will download all of the images and store them in the directory we set up at the beginning, which takes a bit longer but does give you access to all of the images. The second option will just link to the DnDBeyond images instead of downloading them, which will make the process go faster, but you won't have the images locally. Then we have a spell munching specific setting of using the DnDBeyond spell school icon if no other icon is available. Let's go ahead and hit spell munch. It will begin fetching all of the spells from DnDBeyond, setting them up as Foundry spells, and placing them in the DDB spells compendia here. If we open that up, we can see all of our spells have been imported without any of the old hassle. Next up, we have the item munch section and a couple settings specific to it, which are both pretty self-explanatory. Let's do an item munch and sit back and relax while it does all of the work importing the hundreds of items that are out there for us without any effort on our part. If we check out the DDB items compendium, it's got everything we'd expect. Easy peasy. The functionality for doing the same thing with class features isn't available yet, but it should be coming soon and works similarly to the spell and item munchers. Lastly, we have monsters. This is the only functionality that is restricted behind Mr. Primate's Patreon tier. I've already subscribed, and I recommend that you do too. Any of the tiers will get you access to the Monster Muncher, but only the top tier will be able to munch every monster automatically, at least for now. Mr. Primate is planning on lifting that restriction near the end of the month for all Patreon tiers. If you're on one of the lower tiers, you can import about 5 monsters at a time by searching for them. But first, we have to enter our Patreon key to get access to the feature. I'm going to copy mine and go to the module settings and paste it in the Patreon supporter beta key field. Let's talk about one other field in here before we go, and that's the DDB campaign URL or ID field. If you're in a campaign where someone is sharing their DnDBeyond content with you, you can paste in the campaign URL and the importer should be able to pull in that content as well. But make sure that it's not the join link, it's the actual campaign URL ID. Pretty cool. Let's hit Save Changes and go back to the Monster Muncher. I'm going to search for Mind Flayers, and we can see it has parsed a number of monsters and is going through the process of downloading them, generating the appropriate Foundry character types, and setting up their images. If we go to the Actors directory, though, there's nothing there. That's because when you or your player accesses your Foundry game, they download everything that's in the Actors or Item directories. With the amount of items, spells, and monsters we're importing, that could turn out to be quite a lot of data, and so Mr. Primate sends everything to the compendia, and we can import what we want from there, like so. This Mind Flayer Scion has its art from DnDBeyond, and all of the appropriate features and spells that it should have. If we import it and drag it onto the map, we can see that it even has a more refined token that's focused on the face of the monster. We can send attacks like this tentacle to the chat, make an attack roll, damage, and do our intelligence saving throws without having to set up any of it ourselves, which is just awesome. I do want to say that monster importing is a recently added feature to the importer, so there are assuredly some misconfigured or even downright wrong monster imports for sure. If you find one, be sure to go to Mr. Primate's Discord and let him know in the Monster Parsing Fail channel. But please, if you do so, be polite, list out the monster that's having an issue, what it is, and it will be dealt with as soon as possible. That covers just about everything that you can do with the importer as it is, but I mentioned another couple of cool modules that you could use at the start of this video. Let's take a look at those now. The first one is called Tokenizer, and many of you may be familiar with it already. You can use it to make POG-style tokens for actors right in Foundry. I've got a link in the description to my video on using Tokenizer, which will go over everything you need to know. The only thing that's really different is that Mr. Primate's fork is the version on the module list now, but it should work just about the same. The next module is the Magic Items module from a developer that's frequently featured on this channel, Simone, who is also responsible for Dice So Nice amongst many other great modules. The Magic Items module lets you assign a spell to an item like the Wand of Magic Missiles so you can easily cast it. When you have the Magic Items module installed, whenever you import an item like this Wand of Magic Missiles for example, the importer will automatically grab the correct spell and assign it to the item. Then all you have to do is equip the item and the spell should appear in your spellbook at the bottom of the list. That should cover just about everything there is to know about the new DnDBeyond importer from Mr. Primate, as well as a couple of other modules. I hope that it's been helpful and everyone is able to get back to their games as quickly as possible. Be sure to keep an eye in the pinned comments for any important updates, and I'll see you in the next one.